On a hill, visible from the village, stood an old house. It was a house shrouded in shadows and secrets. People said it was cursed. They told stories of a woman who died there, searching for her lost shoes. No one dared to go near it. It stood alone, a symbol of fear. One day, a brave boy named Arjun decided to explore the abandoned house with his friends. Arjun was an adventurous boy, always up for a challenge. He would laugh at the stories and dismiss them as superstition. His friends, though hesitant, couldn't resist his charisma and adventurous spirit. They set out at dusk, the setting sun casting long shadows on their path. As they neared the house, a cold wind blew through the trees, as if warning them. But Arjun was undeterred. He pushed open the creaking gate and stepped into the overgrown garden with his friends. As they approached the front door, a strange uneasiness filled the air. It was as if the house itself was watching them, its empty windows like vacant eyes. With a mischievous grin, Arjun pushed the door open, and they stepped inside. Inside it was dark and silent, covered in dust and cobwebs. The air was thick with a strange, musty odor. Arjun's laughter echoed in the empty rooms, his feigned bravado a thin veil for the fear that was slowly creeping in. They explored the house, their footsteps echoing in the silence. Each room spoke of a forgotten grandeur, now filled only with shadows and dust. They came to a grand staircase, its polished railings covered in cobwebs. Arjun, ever the daredevil, challenged his friends to a game of hide and seek. He wanted to prove that there was nothing to be afraid of in this old house. Reluctantly, his friends agreed. As they ran off to find hiding spots in the dark rooms, a strange feeling came over them. The silence was no longer empty, but filled with unseen whispers. Shadows seemed to move and shift, dancing in the dim light. Hidden inside a dusty cupboard, Arjun smiled to himself. He loved the thrill of the unknown, the feeling of fear. He strained his ears, listening for any sound of his friends. But instead of his friends' laughter, he heard something else. A slow, dragging sound, like feet shuffling across the wooden floor. It was coming from the hallway, just outside the cupboard. He held his breath, his heart pounding in his chest. The sound grew louder, closer. It was definitely footsteps, slow and deliberate, with a slow, rhythmic sound. Arjun, his curiosity overcoming his fear, slowly opened the cupboard door. He peered into the hallway, his eyes struggling to see in the darkness. Part 4. A ghostly encounter. And then he saw them. A woman's shoes, worn and dusty, were slowly moving down the hallway. They were walking by themselves, as if worn by an invisible person. The rhythmic sound he had heard was the click of high heels against the wooden floor. Frozen in fear and fascination, Arjun watched as the shoes stopped in front of a particular room. He heard a soft sigh, a whisper of sadness that sent shivers down his spine. Then a voice, cold and ethereal, echoed in the air. "My shoes! Where are my shoes?" Arjun, his blood turning to ice, watched as a figure began to materialize before him. It was a woman, dressed in a faded white dress, her face obscured by a hazy mist. She was translucent, shimmering like heat haze, yet undeniably real. Part 5. Trapped. The woman bent down and picked up the shoes. As her fingers brushed against the worn leather, a blast of icy air swept through the hallway, extinguishing Arjun's candle and plunging him into darkness. He cried out in fear, the sound raw with terror, and scrambled back into the cupboard, slamming the door shut. He could hear the woman's voice, closer now, filled with a terrible rage. "You touched my shoes!" she hissed. "Now you will pay." Arjun's friends, hearing his cry, came running. They found him huddled in the cupboard, his eyes wide with fear. He tried to tell them what he had seen, but the words caught in his throat. They could hear the woman's voice now, echoing through the house, growing angrier by the moment. Panicked, they ran for the front door, desperate to escape the haunted mansion. But as they reached the door, They found it locked from the inside. They rattled the doorknob, but it wouldn't budge. They were trapped. Part 6. The haunting continues. The friends spent a terrifying night in the haunted mansion, hunted by the vengeful spirit of the woman. They could hear her footsteps, her chilling whispers, following them through the dark rooms. When morning finally came, they were released from the house, fleeing into the sunlight. But they were forever changed by their experience. And Arjun? He was never seen again. Some say his spirit now wanders the halls of that old house, searching for his lost friends. Another victim of the haunted mansion on the hill. The old house still stands today, a silent sentinel overlooking the village. It serves as a reminder that some doors are best left closed, some mysteries unsolved. Those who dare to enter do so at their own peril. The woman in the white dress still searches for her shoes, and her vengeance is swift and merciless. Remember, sometimes it's best to look but not touch.